I'm leaving for vacation tomorrow.
Oh, look at the time. Good evening and welcome to the April 10th, 2025 meeting of the Town of Local Zoning Board of Appeals. If you all please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On this evening's agenda, we had the public hearing for variance application 2025 AV-2, Jeffrey McLaughlin, 15 Mountain View Road, for a declaring an existing non-conforming lot to be declared a legal, I assume, legal conforming lot, not legal non-conforming lot.
Okay.
Review and acceptance of the minutes from the March meeting, and we have new and old business, including review of a new variance application draft. I would like to go out of order here a little bit because I cannot open the public hearing until 7:05, because that's what was stated at the last meeting. We started 7:05. I would like to go to item number 2. Minutes from the March meeting. Has everyone had a chance to see review the March minutes? Yes. Does anyone have any comments?
Nope.
No. Make a motion to approve the March minutes. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Still got 3 minutes. Please take a roll call.
All right, roll call.
Yes.
Minnesota?
Yes.
Michael McGill, good. Caleb Durrell,
Here.
Sonia Hillis,
Here.
and Chairman Matthew Powell.
Here.
All present.
I should have done that first, huh? Yeah, I still got, no, I agree. I still got time to kill, so I'm gonna go to the review of the new variance application draft, which is, everybody has a copy in front of you. Karen sent this out earlier in the week. She discussed it with me before she sent it out. One of the changes regarding the applicant's address, the word legal address is now in there. I think we've been having some difficulties with this, with people not providing us with their legal addresses when they're applying for a variance application. So that is one change. Karen, do you want to discuss, I mean, you need to change this to the 5 questions.
Yeah. Okay, I don't have a copy.
Send it to us long time ago.
Basically, what we did was at the end, one of the things that we did was make like a checklist for people to make sure that they had included all of the necessary documents, which, so we moved like the deed there and the seeker form, any photographs, map of a joint, things that have come up that we haven't had, we put there, so it's like a checklist.
Yeah, they were kind of in different spots, just kind of consolidated it all to one spot.
The other thing that we did because it's basically the same form, was under the variance standards where in the past, we just had described how the requested variance, et cetera, will not alter the character of the neighborhood. Before that, we put a statement that says, answers to the following questions will be used in deciding the requested variance's approval. Please answer the questions to the best of your ability. So that kind of lets the applicant know that those 5 things are important to what you do, and they need to give you better answers in a lot of cases. And that's basically it. It was just trying to clean it up so it was a little more user friendly. You want this here? Okay.
Any comments? I mean, I've looked at this. I'm good with the changes as Tucker's and Karen has stated that the changes which have been made are based on the problems we've had with applications being insufficient. I would be remiss to think that this was going to actually change everything, but it's certainly a step in the right direction. Any other comments?
No, thank you.
No, we don't need a motion to change this, right? This is just. So Karen, you're good. Thank you very much. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Tucker, he's the one that spent
And
a
it's
lot of time on it.
7:05.
We made it.
Karen, I know that the public notice was issued. I saw it on our website.
Yep, it was published April 1st. I did receive 3 comments by email. I provided them all to you ahead of time. You should have had time to read them over. They all were in favor of the variance. I also gave you a copy of the county referral that came back with no significant intercommunity or countywide impact. And that's about all I have to add.
Thank you. With that, I'll open the public hearing for area variance application 2025 AV-2 Jeffrey McLaughlin, 15 Mountain View Road. For having his existing non-conforming lot declared a legal conforming lot so that he can move ahead with the boundary line adjustment. I guess I have to ask the question, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this matter? Kristen?
Am I supposed to say neutral? I'm just presenting the information. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to speak in favor of it, but this is what my clients asked me to do. I understand it. I think it makes sense. You know, I certainly understand his concerns about, you know, having the next step of this process would be creating a new building lot and a new residence and neighbors that are, you know, directly adjacent to his property. The way the house sits on the property as it currently stands, the property line is just off the corner of the deck attached to their house. So from their perspective, this is just allowing a little bit more of a buffer from whatever ends up happening next door. I mean, in the immediate future, we're assuming it's going to be people that they know and are presumably friendly, but who knows, you know, what the future holds there. And McLaughlin family has owned that property for quite a while and they have no intention of going anywhere. So they just want to make sure that this is giving them a little bit more space from whatever, you know, whatever comes their way down the road in the future from that new lot that's presumably would be going to the planning board and would be created next door.
Yeah. Oh, we don't accept comments from Zoom, but there's no one on anyway.
No.
Well, that makes it very simple then. That being the case, I will close the public hearing for area variance application 2025 AV-2. And I'd like to go over the application. Listen, I don't even know if you know the answer to this question, but when the application was presented, the question was asked regarding the legal address of Mr. McLaughlin. And what we decided to do is we went with the address that was on the deed. The application was amended and the address on the deed was 330 West 28th Street, apartment 21J, New York, New York. However, according to the Warren County tax records, Mr. McLaughlin's address is 410 West 25th Street, Apartment 1C, New York, New York. So where does Mr. McLaughlin live?
My understanding was the apartment 1J, the address that we had discussed at the last meeting was the correct address for him.
Which one do we go by, Mary?
I don't know which one's correct.
Yeah, see. Kind of a problem.
Do you want me to try and solve? Real quick while you're. I just don't have that address that you have in front of you, the 410, what is it?
410 West 25th Street, Apartment 1C.
Let me call. You guys keep going.
Use the one on the application.
The one on the application.
It's a dead lot.
It says that he lives at
15,
15 Mountain View Road.
that's not a house yet, is it?
It's a house, but
Girl,
when I went there was too much snow to be able to get to the house itself, so it was very obvious that that's not where he lives.
This is his local address, but he is, obviously he has, this is the second home.
Hi, Mr. McLaughlin. This is Karen Putney, the zoning officer of the county of Luzerne. Good, we are in the process of going through your application and we have a question about your legal address. On the application, it was originally 15 Mountain View Road. Last week, we changed it to the address that was in the deed, which was 330 West 28th Street, Apartment 21J, New York. But when we checked the GIS system, your tax bill gets sent to 410 West 25th Street, Apartment 1C. So what is the correct legal address? 330 West 28th Street. Okay, thank you. And bye.
Thank you.
Yep.
I got to that hurdle.
We have to add that to the application.
We corrected it at last month's meeting, but when I wasn't even looking for this, I was looking for something else, and this came up today, so it raised the question as to what the correct address is. This application is seeker exempt. We have the response from the county that they are not concerned. There's a non-jurisdictional letter from APA on file. I'd like to get into the application unless anyone has any other questions.
No.
I think we spent enough time on what the owner's name and address was, so we'll just skip over that page. Brief history. 285.20-1-30 McLaughlin parcel. Original lot size was 0.26 acres. 2021 added 0.21 acres, zone HC, Hamlet Commercial. A lot line adjustment with parcel 285.2-25 for a total of 0.47 acres, contains one residence. 285.2-24 Sobel parcel has been in the Sobel family since 1965. Current owners had property conveyed in 2024. Contains one residence, area equals to 2.6 acres. The proposed action is to legalize a non-conforming lot, so the boundary line adjustment to add 0.6 acres to parcel 285.20-1-30 McLaughlin from parcel 285.2-24 Sobel can take place. Everybody understand what we're doing here?
Yeah,
Okay.
what's the measurement that is needed?
RU needs 3 acres.
3 acres.
3 acres.
Right.
Thank you.
I would like to then get into the responses to the various standard questions. Question number 1, describe how the requested variance will not alter the character of the larger neighborhood or impact adjacent properties. Response is, it will make parcel 285.20-1-30 closer to the minimum acreage for RRU. No new construction is planned. I agree that adding the additional property to the existing property will make it closer to the minimum acreage for RRU. It is still nowhere near the required 3 acres. In the RRU, it's still going to be an acre approximately. The requirement is 3 acres. I, however, do not believe the requested variance will alter the character of the larger neighborhood. I am not sure about the impact on adjacent properties. I don't know. I don't think that moving the boundary line over, Kristen, please, it's at 30 feet. Is that what we're talking about?
Right, so they would gain 30 feet directly adjacent to the home, and then they would gain more acreage behind it as well,
But 30 feet adjacent to the garage,
right, to the, so called the edge of the deck.
to the south.
Yeah. Yes.
Between the existing lot and the proposed subdivision lot.
Right, yeah, there would be an additional 30-foot strip in there.
Thank you. Yep.
I don't believe that this will alter the character of the neighborhood or impact any of the properties. It's going to essentially help alleviate existing problem.
Burgess,
I don't believe it'll alter the characteristics of the neighborhood, seeing that most of them aren't already 3 acres right there.
Mike,
I do not feel that this will alter the character of the larger neighborhood or impact the adjacent properties.
Kayla,
I agree that there's no alter to the character of the neighborhood or impact the adjacent properties.
question number 2, describe what alternatives have been explored to achieve a solution other than a variance. Response is, the obstacle to creating a larger lot is the cost of the property being transferred. Property owner is not willing to sell the 2.74 acres to the same price as 0.66 acres. I can understand that. But I do not see that any other alternatives have been explored. One I can think of is Sobels are selling the parcel to the for the subdivision. I forget who it is. Is it a
Title.
Title.
Last name.
maybe a Laura title?
Title in German.
From my perspective, one of the things that the Sobels could do is agree to move that lot over. So it is further to the south. And thereby provide the buffer. They would still own that property. I seriously doubt that that's been discussed with the Sobels.
I mean, really, no matter where you put this, increasing this area here is going to, there's a cost associated with that as far as them being willing to part with that much more property. And that's really, that's their kind of their sticking point, that the 2 parties, and obviously I wasn't part of those discussions, but they came up with a value of this land and said, okay, well, for X dollars, we're willing to part with X amount of land. And to essentially triple that or quadruple that, is going, the cost is just, it's prohibitive, unfortunately. The 2 parties weren't, when we came back to them and said, hey, listen, this is what we need to do to make this conforming and not have to come through the ZBA. It was kind of a no-go between the 2 parties because of the vast difference in the amount of property that they're talking about.
But the bottom line is the problem is the monetary value.
Right. I mean, for the amount of land, the difference that that we would have to make up to make this conforming. You know, that there is a value to that property, certainly. So I don't expect them to give it away. But, you know, between the financial ability and the willingness to devalue or undervalue the property, you know, between the two parties could come to a consensus to make this any bigger, essentially.
Thank you. Rail?
They probably have explored alternatives because this looks pretty drawn out. But as far as like the cost of it's not really no bearing on us. But. Yeah, maybe a couple more alternatives should be written down, but. They're trying with this.
Burgess?
Seems they explored other options, they just didn't like them, is what I'm hearing.
Mike?
Seems the one other alternative was explored. And that was it.
Kayla?
I believe the alternatives have been explored.
Question number 3, explain why this requested variance is, whether this requested variance is substantial. The response is no, this is going to increase the size of the lot from 0.26 acres in RRU to 0.92 acres in RRU. I consider this variance request to be substantial. The requirement is 3 acres. It's going to be less than 1 acre after the property line adjustment is made. In addition to that, that is not really what we're discussing here. What the variance request is to make a non-conforming lot, a legally conforming lot. And to me, that is a very substantial request. Especially when the parcel right now is only the 0.26 acres in the RRU. There's been no boundary line adjustment. There's been no sale of property. So right now we're going from 0.26 acres when the requirement is 3 acres as it currently stands. And I consider that to be a very substantial request. Well,
Number wise, it is substantial. But. I think it's gonna help alleviate. They're trying to make a small lot as big as they possibly can. They're trying to grow it. Yeah, it's substantial, but it's not substantial enough, in my opinion, to be a problem.
Burgess?
I concur with you, Matt, and it is a very substantial request.
Mike?
Yes, this requested variance is substantial.
Kayla?
I think it's a substantial request.
Question number 4, describe how the requested variance will not have an adverse impact on physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood. Response is we are increasing the size of undersized lot. No new construction is planned. I agree they are increasing the size of an undersized lot. No new construction being planned. At least to the property, the adjacent property where there's a proposed building site is being discussed. There's obviously no new construction is going to be there because you can't meet the setback requirements. But I agree that this requested variance will not have an adverse impact on physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood. Rail?
I do not feel that this variance will have an adverse impact on physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood.
I agree with you. Adverse impact physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood.
Yep, this variance will not have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions.
And I agree as well, that will not adverse, not have an impact on the physical and environmental conditions of the neighborhood.
Thank you. Question number 5, describe how the requested variance is not a self-created difficulty. Response is parcel 285.20-1-30 is already a non-conforming lot. The value of the land being purchased is not within their control. This is absolutely a self-created difficulty. They are requesting that a non-conforming lot be declared a legally conforming lot so that they can have a buffer between their property and the adjacent property where there's proposal to build a house. Rail?
It's definitely self-created, everyone is, but like you said, they're not gonna meet the setbacks to ever build there, right?
Not on the side. It can't, Karen, that's correct, right?
What, I'm sorry?
The setback requirement in RRU is 30 feet on sideline.
Let me look.
Accessory structures can be,
Yeah, but this is an accessory.
well, yeah, no, I just meant any other kind of structure could be 10 feet away from the property line.
RU side is 20.
20. So with a 10-foot separation from the existing structures, there's not enough room to build anything.
No,
Not without a variance.
well, the room in the back, they would. Where they're adding this in the back. They would be able to put some kind of a structure back, an accessory structure back there, because as Tucker said, they don't. Accessory structures only have to be 10 feet from side and rear property lines. The problem would be, well, they would be able to get some kind of construction vehicles through on that 30-foot width. So they couldn't put anything near the house right there, but they could put it behind.
I'm curious, Kristen, you mentioned before that the 0.66 acres was a negotiation between the Sobels and McLaughlin's. If the purpose of the boundary line adjustment is to create a buffer between the two properties, then why the additional? This part I understand.
Behind it.
Why the part behind it?
To be honest, I wasn't part of the discussion, so I really can't speak to that. My understanding was they came up with an acreage amount, and this is how the two parties or three parties, I guess. This was the configuration that they came to me with.
Thank you. Burgess, I believe we're to you.
Ralph, what did you say?
Number
I
5.
agreed that
Yeah.
self-created.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I believe in self-created a difficulty.
As the requested variance is self-created difficulty.
I agree, it's self-created.
Anyone have any other questions? Any further discussion? I will make a motion to accept area variance 2025 AV-2 Jeffrey McLaughlin,
Accept or approve.
excuse me. Approve. Thank you. Approve area variance 2025 AV-2 Jeffrey McLaughlin to have a existing non-conforming lot declared a legal conforming lot so that he can move ahead with the boundary line adjustment.
I'll second.
What do we say as submitted? Not meaning to jump in. I saw you looking kinda,
Who, me?
yeah.
I didn't know if you were going to put any conditions on it at all. That's all I was waiting to hear.
I was waiting for the motion to be seconded so we could have discussion. So thank you. I have concerns about the parcel. Not only are we talking about a boundary line adjustment, we're talking about converting making a non-conforming lot, a legal conforming lot. I don't know how many of you have been to the site. If you, all you have to do is look at the drawings that have been provided. And there's at least half a dozen zoning violations on this property. The property is on top of they've built on top of the property lines.
That was my question, but can I remember before zoning? I was gonna ask Karen later.
I don't know when the
Yeah.
house, I don't know when the house was built.
The original house was built in 1950,
Yeah, so it was before zoning.
but those decks
The decks are online.
are on the line and they were not built in 1950. That garage was an addition that was not built in 1950. So yeah, the decks which are on the property lines. Zoning was in effect when they were built.
Okay.
That being said, I've also seen in here a couple of times that there's no new construction being planned. However, this drawing shows a lot of construction which was not approved. Once we grant if we grant a variance, which makes this a legal conforming lot, then there's nothing that prevents construction, with the exception of the fact that for the sideline, they would have to come back to the zoning board for a variance because there's not enough space. I have considered putting limitations on the application to restrict building. I don't know how any of the other board members feel about that. I'm open to discussion.
That's also my decision.
They would need a variance to build regardless, right?
On the side, they would need a variance, but not necessarily behind the house, this piece. There's only 30 feet between the new proposed property line and the deck. So there's not enough room there to build anything without a variance, but there is room behind the house to build. Going up the hill. Mike, thoughts?
Can we put a limitation in place behind?
Put conditions on it.
And the only way they can go property line adjustment is by us deeming it a conforming lot.
Yes, I discussed that again with Mary before the meeting. Yes.
Can the condition be that if there was to be any new construction, it has to go through the ZBA in an application, or if there was, or would have to go through the ZBA process?
think so, because what would the ZBA be considering a tough line? Not a, there would be no variance to consider, it would just.
Boy, that discussion.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Somewhere in your opinion, but it's not necessary to put limitations on this.
Say that. Set a condition on it that they have to come back to the ZBA wouldn't be affected. So what would the ZBA be considering?
There would have to be a specific.
As opposed to making a statement, putting a condition on it that this variance is granted with the understanding that there's to be no further construction on the property.
Just put the condition, no further construction on the property. I mean, I'm not saying to make that condition, I'm just saying if you are. Get clear.
Like to amend my motion to grant area variance 2025 AV-2 to make a existing non-conforming lot declared a legal conforming lot with the condition that no further construction is to occur on that site.
I'll second.
Discussion. What is construction? Oh my God. Is it a chicken coop? Is I can't build a dock, I can't do the roof, I can't be on the side. What is it's gonna cost somebody a pound down the line? And then, this is before this meeting, we're all not gonna be here.
Yes, is it okay for us to ask the owner, like, if they like our discussions,
The conditions.
conditions?
But
That include, I mean, future, say. Jeffrey McLaughlin passes on to his kids and eventually, you know, it's an old house, right? So does that include never being able to replace the structure?
That all needs clarification.
Okay, so I'm,
condition, right, so.
Structures, no.
Structure, I've run in garden time.
Well, structure is defined by the,
Structure versus construction. Well, he said construction, I didn't construct it, I've run in garden time.
I mean, I think that would be a new structure though, under our.
It would be a new
definition.
structure.
Yeah,
No additional structures?
you guys have to decide what you're.
You have to realize that
Matt's motion, how she did.
you gotta think about everything. There's fences, there's swimming pools.
Right.
There's ancillary structures, there's accessory structures. There's retaining walls, there's. It's not, you know, it's not just the house and a garage, there are other things that are governed by this ordinance. So take that into consideration in what you're trying to figure out.
then I will simplify matters and go back to my original motion to approve. As presented.
How's this?
Okay, I second.
All right. Motion to approve 2025 as a legal non-conforming lot,
A legal conforming lot.
legal conforming lot.
Can I just jump in?
Okay.
So what you're doing is you are making a motion to approve a variance to the dimensional requirements specified in the Lake Luzerne zoning code.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. It's not legal, not, it's, sorry, that's just more accurate.
That's why you're here.
Make sure you're right.
Yeah, say that one, rephrase that one more time.
Okay. Approving a variance for the dimensional requirements specified in the Lake Luzerne zoning code.
Okay,
I read that, I think.
zoning ordinance. Soon be a code, hopefully. I mean,
While you're here.
it's a zoning ordinance.
Okay, put.
Yeah, I got you, I got you. Okay. Motion to approve 2025 80-2. Requirements specified in the Lake Luzerne zoning ordinance.
Approving a variance to the dimension.
Full variance.
We're gonna get there.
Yeah, approve, well,
To the
Mhm.
dimensional requirements specified in the
Lake
Luzerne,
Ordinance.
right?
Okay.
All right, roll call vote. Rail Zubel,
Yes.
Burgess David,
Oh,
Michael Liddell,
Yes.
Kayla Drew,
Yes.
and Chairman Matthew Pouch.
no.
That's 3 votes yes, 2 votes no, motion carried.
Go.
Okay.
Thank you. I think we've covered everything other than, does anyone else have any additional new or old business? Sharon?
You were talking about Sean?
No, not publicly. Not until we've got it completely
Okay.
resolved.
Karen, Karen,
Yep,
you have any new business?
I do not at this point.
Anyone else?
I will not be at next month's meeting.
That's
So,
fine.
thank you. Throw that out.
Mary?
Mm.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.